Today's adventure takes us to Mokena, Illinois, and to St. Mary's Catholic Cemetery. Now this cemetery goes back to about 1864. It is the first Catholic cemetery and Catholic church in Mokena. I don't know if you can see behind me, the church still stands, and we're going to take a look at that church a little bit, at least the outside. I don't think we can get in it today. There are about 800 graves in this cemetery, and we're just going to explore the cemetery, see what we can find. So come join me as we explore St. Mary's Catholic Cemetery. So I've never been in this cemetery. This is my first time here, and technically this is a graveyard. And this is one of the few graveyards I've ever been in because it is adjacent to a church. And for those that don't know, a graveyard is next to a church. A cemetery is not next to a church. And those are the differences between cemetery and graveyard. But a beautiful old church here. The church goes back to 1864. The land here was donated by Matthias and Margaret Enders. And a group of local people got together back in the early 1860s, and they were able to donate $1,400 to build this church. What a wonderful, wonderful old church, and it's been kept up all these years. Very nice. And I'm going to take a walk on the other side of the church here. And here's this beautiful old church. Look at that steeple. 1864. It has been replaced by a more modern church in another location, so this church is no longer active. We can see right behind the church, immediately behind it, is the oldest section of the cemetery. What a great, sturdy looking tombstone. Anton appears to be the name. Something M-A-N for the last name. Oh, here's a new marker in the ground for him. Anton Folman, 1863. We have some markers here that they attempted to repair, but you can see that the repair broke after a while. We have some statues in the ground, and yeah, not in good shape. Another one here that looks like a lamb on the top of it, so this most likely an infant stone. And this one looks like it's recently fallen over. Another one in the ground here that's very difficult to read. Schmidt looks to be the name. Can't read the first name because it's it's actually under the ground. We've got an old one here. William Gilly's the name, 1861. We have a statue that has been here some time. I assume that is of the Virgin Mary. Well, this has been here a while as well. unable to read that one. Wow, look at this. Maybe Thomas, it looks like. You know, it's amazing that it's like easier to read these things through the camera than it is actually being here. And behind that one, and that one's, look at this iron cross. Beautiful iron cross. Joseph Carroll. I like how they did this because the original markers are not readable, so they've Josephine Carroll, 1889, 1 year, 1 month. I really admire how they did that. Andrew Schuberth, 1889, and there's a Schuberth monument, as you could see with the cross at the top of the monument. Here's Carolina. And there's another marker they put in Carolina, Schuberth. Unfortunately, it looks like there was a figure that was glued on here that had broken, probably due to the storms and wind. Just wonderful. Anton Wagner's the name here, 1871. And this one is so old that something Rasky, another infant of John Schuberth. And here's Thomas. Hard to read that. But it's great that they put these stones in here. George Schuberth, Carolyn Lang, John Stater, infant, Eva Stater, 1887, age 51, Eva Studer. So that's interesting. That's Tuder, but on this one it's Stader. And here's the oldest grave in the cemetery, John Studer, 1855. I think I said in the intro the cemetery was about 1860s. The church was 1864. The cemetery does go back to the 1850s, so I may have misspoke a little bit. But 1855 is when this cemetery goes back to. Well, this is an interesting one. Looks like Mary something, August 1961. Seems to be a homemade type tombstone, and there's some others here from the 1960s as well. All I could see on this one is the IHS, as well as this one. You can see this one was actually repaired. Somebody put in these metal brackets, but that was a long time ago. This one has fallen and is sinking into the ground. It's like Catherine something on that one. Just amazing, amazing old tombstones here. You can see the cross with an angel knelt down on either side praying. That is a nice tombstone. Statue, it's glued to the top. You can no longer read that one, however. I saw one here. It says Mutter, so this one is German. 1903 on that one. A couple old ones behind this tree. Unfortunately, I cannot make out any information on these. Almost completely wiped smooth from the from years of weathering. Unfortunately. And this one here has a lot of info on it. I believe I'm upside down. Still unable to read it. It looks like 1870, perhaps. Lucille appears to be the name on this one. Look how beautiful that is. The finial still sits on top of this one, which I'm a little surprised, to be honest with you. Carrie, wife of Nicholas Lawson, it looks like. 1880 something. See if there's anything on the other side here. I don't see anything on that side, nor do I see anything on that side. I'm going to walk across and check out another tall, beautiful old monument. John Schelling, 1855 to 1900. So he was only barely 45 years old when he passed away. I see children of John and it looks like Susan Schelling. Thomas, hard to tell when he died, and Annie, looks like she died 1892 to 1893. So unfortunately, she was a baby when she died. I don't see his wife on here. Huh. I don't see his wife. Maybe she may have remarried. Oh, here it is. Here's Susan right here, 1860 to 1934. Here's John, 1865 to 1900, I believe. And let's take a quick look on the other side. Got a sister, Mary Schelling, 1886 to 1910. And then we get into William Schelling, 1898 to 1973. This is rather unique. We have some curbing here. 3 plots, but no markers. So there's 3 unmarked graves here. But no markers for those graves. Okay guys, I'm walking over here. So a lot of the stuff that I'm walking at now is newer, kind of your standard headstone. But I do see looks to be an old monument over here I want to check out. Looks to be a statue. And before I get out of here, I wanted to check this out. So let me show this to you. Okay, it's not that old, but it's in the style of an old one. So we have just beautiful wooden cross with a wreath and an angel that is holding that wreath up onto the wooden cross. What a beautiful, beautiful stone. And this is Holly Dvorak. Fortunately, Holly was very young when she passed away, 1972 to 1988. So Holly was only 16. I did some research on Holly to see if I could find out what happened to this 16-year-old girl, and unfortunately I did find this newspaper article saying she was murdered in a murder-suicide by her boyfriend, Daniel Yarbrough. He was 18 at the time, and they were murdered on a remote road in Frankfort, Illinois, actually south of Frankfort, Green Garden, Illinois. And the police found 2 bodies near their car and a shotgun not far away. So unfortunately, Holly departed this earth a little too soon. She passed. What a great marker for her. I mean, talk about I thought for sure this was 100 years old. I mean, just wonderful that they did something like this for Holly. As I'm walking around, here's a grave here. I guess you don't get much fresher than this. It looks like this was very, very recent. It's just been recently covered in dirt. Something I found out rather recently I thought was interesting. A lot of people say they're buried 6 feet deep. And I found out that is not really true anymore. Looks like Stanley had passed away in 2002, and his wife must have recently just passed. So they no longer bury people 6 feet deep. It's usually about 4.5, maybe 5 feet deep at the most. And that is due to the fact that back in the day when they'd bury people so deep, because they had to, or else animals would smell them and dig the people up. But nowadays, with the caskets and the concrete crypts and such, the animals are no longer a worry, so they don't bury people as deep as they used to, which I never knew that until recently. It's a beautiful monument. A lot of beautiful monuments here. So I usually don't film newer ones, but some of these are just really nice. Look at that one. That's very nice. Well, a lot of younger people, and I'm surprised by that. I mean, 1980 to 2015, I mean, this person wasn't that old. 35, 34. We have a Bronze Star veteran here from Vietnam. Harry Payne Miller, thank you for your service. Yeah, surprised by that. A lot of younger people here. Here, 1994 to 2013. I mean, a little shocking, to be honest with you. Okay, guys, thank you for coming along with me today to St. Mary's Catholic Cemetery here in Mokena, Illinois. It's not a cemetery, it's technically a graveyard. They call it cemetery, so that's why I call it cemetery. Great old graves, great new graves, a little bit of everything in this cemetery. So thanks for coming along with me. And if you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you like my content, please subscribe. I'm getting closer to 1,000 subscribers. Ever so slowly. I would like to get there sooner than later. So please subscribe if you like my content. And until next time, keep exploring.